You ever wake up and feel for a split second like the world's just gone? Not quiet, not peaceful, just wrong. That's how that morning started for me, the day after the worst snowstorm Pine Hollow, Wyoming had seen in, well, probably longer than I've been alive. I remember rolling over in bed, the kind of cold seeping through the windows that makes you pull the blanket tighter. And there it was, this silence, thick as the snow outside, just sitting on my chest. No plows, no cars, not even a dog barking. It was like the street itself had been wiped off the map. If you grew up somewhere with real winters, you know silence like that isn't a blessing, it's a threat. I wasn't the only one who felt it. My phone buzzed before I even got out of bed. Not a text from a friend, not a weather alert, an email from the HOA. Stamped all official right after midnight. Basically, it said surprise. We dug through the original charter, and guess what? Your street's a private drive now. Snow removal. Not our job anymore. Don't even try to clear it yourself, or we'll fine you for altering shared access. Now I'm standing at my front window watching neighbors bang on their frozen car doors. Parents hauling kids through knee-deep drifts, everybody's faces stuck somewhere between, is this a joke and are we trapped? Down the street, old mister and Mrs. Ellis are out with one rusty shovel trying to hack a path to the mailbox. And there, standing like some weird storm-chasing accountant, is Marlene, head of the HOA. Clipboard in one hand, camera phone in the other, just documenting the chaos like she's out birdwatching. That's when I knew this wasn't an accident, this wasn't confusion. Someone decided this and it was about to get ugly. You ever move somewhere because you want that feeling, security, stability, just a little bit of promise? That was Pine Hollow for us, my wife Laura and our 2 kids. Not fancy, not flashy. Just quiet enough but not lonely. Affordable but not sad. The only guarantee that really mattered around here, full service maintenance. Snow removal right there in bold in every sales pitch, every welcome packet, every HOA meeting. You gotta understand, in Wyoming, snow removal isn't just a perk. It's the difference between kids get to school and call an ambulance and hope for the best. From the start, Marlene ran the HOA like she was defending a fortress made out of spreadsheets. Trash bins lined up with military precision. Grass measured with what I'm pretty sure was a ruler from her purse. But what she loved more than anything, her budget. Keeping dues low, she'd say. Every meeting ended with a speech about how she was protecting homeowners. At the time, people clapped. I even clapped. Now I look back and think, man, you idiot, you bought it. We all did until the snowstorm came. That next morning, nothing. No plow. Not even a rumor of a plow. By mid-morning, there's Marlene's email again. We've discovered the road is a private drive. It's all in the charter. You ever get that itch in the back of your mind when someone's feeding you a story? A couple of us called the county just to check. Public Works guy didn't even pause. Nope, never our road. Always handled by the HOA. So what the hell was Marlene talking about? Instead of answering, she doubled down. Violation notices started popping up like mushrooms after the rain. Don't shovel. Don't salt. Don't hire anyone to plow. Don't even drive. One neighbor, Tom, works nights, got fined for tire tracks in the snow. Another for parking on the street overnight because, newsflash, he couldn't leave. We weren't just trapped, we were being punished for it. That's when frustration tipped into fear. I watched people dragging kids' lunchboxes, bouncing, trying to reach the next plowed street. Employers called warning not to miss another shift. Then the delivery truck tried to get in, slid sideways, blocked the entrance, and just left. And then, here's the real punch. The older guy down the street, chest pains. Ambulance comes, stops at the gate, takes one look and says, nope. Paramedics have to walk their gear through snow that's up to their knees. Watching that, I felt something cold settle in my gut. This was preventable. The HOA could have fixed it. Instead, they were hiding behind emails. That night, people started knocking, not to gossip, but to compare notes. Turns out we were all getting the same silence, the same threats. I realized this wasn't mismanagement, this was a strategy. Day 3, snow hardened into these rough, jagged walls like somebody had tried to sculpt a prison out of it. The school bus came up, waited 30 seconds, and turned around. Parents just stared, too tired to yell. Some of the kids started to cry. Others just went stone silent. That afternoon, Mrs. Halverson, 2 doors down, tried to get her mail slip, screamed, and broke her wrist. By the time I got there, neighbors were hauling her onto a sled. No car, no help. Ambulance came, stopped at the gate again. Same deal. You ever feel fear just expand? That was the moment for me. We started bombarding the HOA calls, emails, begging not for a favor, just for a damn plow. Marlene finally replied. Mass email. Cold like a lawyer. Panic behavior will not be tolerated. Any unauthorized attempts to clear the road will result in fines. No mention of Mrs. Halverson. No plan. Just do nothing or else. That's when something in me just broke. I called a private plow. Didn't ask. Didn't announce it. The driver made it as far as the gate before Marlene came out, phone up, blocking the way, recording him. You're trespassing, she said. That afternoon, I got another violation notice, this time with a warning about legal consequences. And suddenly, my house became the meeting point. People poured in, scared, pissed, desperate. What if there's a fire? What if a kid gets hurt? Are we supposed to just wait until someone dies? No one had answers. The HOA raised the fines again. It felt personal, like they wanted to squeeze us into giving up. The worse things got, the more Marlene dug in. That night, I sat at the table, buried in paper. Laura stood behind me, hands on my shoulders, both of us quiet. I realized this is what they want. Panic makes people sloppy. Fear makes you silent. Anger makes you reckless. All of it makes you easier to control. So I stopped reacting, started documenting. Every email, every notice, photos of the snow, the blocked gate, the ambulance parked at the entrance. I wrote down dates, times, asked neighbors to send me what they had. The pattern became obvious. The HOA wasn't confused. They weren't overwhelmed. They were hiding behind private drive as a shield. I knew if this went further, documentation would be everything. Next step, ask for the records. All of them. I sent a formal request for every document about snow removal. 2 days later, Marlene emailed back, all polite, saying it'll take time. They're archived. Meanwhile, more fines, more stalling. I sent a second email, this time quoting state law. I listed the penalties for non-compliance, copied the entire board, set a deadline. 48 hours later, there it was, a folder full of digital files. I stayed up late, the house dark, snowlight leaking through the window, scrolling through documents. Meeting minutes, budget reports, boring stuff until I found it. 3 years earlier. Agenda item, operational cost review. The board had voted quietly to cut the snow removal contract to save money. No resident vote, no notice, no backup plan. Right there in black and white was Marlene's signature. I kept reading. Marketing materials from that same year promising full winter maintenance. Welcome packets. Dues calculated as if the contract was still in place. They'd cut the service and kept collecting. The private drive excuse, just a story built to justify it after the fact. I didn't confront Marlene. I sent the documents to the neighbors who'd been hit the hardest. Within minutes, phones started lighting up, some people angry, some silent, some just betrayed. By the next morning, everyone had seen the truth. People stopped asking when will the HOA do something and started asking who else signed off on this. The conversation shifted, no more complaints, just plans. Marlene tried to regain control, another mass email accusing us of spreading misinformation, threatening action. The neighborhood replied with the disclosure law, the meeting minutes, the marketing materials. For the first time, Marlene sounded cornered. That was the real turning point. The snowstorm didn't expose the lie. The paperwork did. The anger sharpened. It wasn't just frustration anymore. It was betrayal. That night, neighbors gathered at my place, not for gossip, not to vent, just resolve. The evidence was too loud to ignore. We needed legal help. The next morning, we met with an attorney. We didn't exaggerate. We just laid it all out. The storm, the blocked road, the ambulance, the fines, the private drive, emails, the contract termination. The lawyer flipped through the file quiet, then finally said, "This is bad. For them." They'd removed a safety service, kept advertising it, fined people for expecting it, and blocked emergency access. Because an ambulance couldn't reach homes, we could file for an emergency injunction right now. So we did. The attorney filed a motion attaching every photo, every document, every unanswered email. Within hours, the judge ordered the HOA to restore access immediately or face penalties. Plows showed up, paid at premium rates, the street finally cleared. That was just the beginning. Now claims started coming, medical costs, lost wages, buyers who'd never been told about the private drive. The HOA's insurance company reviewed the case, saw the mess, and basically told the board, We might not cover you for this. Board members panicked. Pointed fingers called emergency meetings. Marlene threatened more fines until someone replied with the judge's order. Fines stopped. 2 days later, the emergency HOA meeting. The place was packed, people shoulder to shoulder, boots dripping, faces tight. Marlene tried to open with a speech. Didn't get through half of it before residents started talking over her missed school, blocked ambulances, all of it. Our lawyer stepped up, projected the whole timeline for everyone to see: emails, warnings, violation notices, photos, the meeting minutes with her signature. There was nowhere left to hide. Even the county official, who'd never said much before, stood up and confirmed this was not a county road, never had been. It was the HOA's responsibility, and the private drive thing never a legal excuse. The meeting wasn't about arguing anymore. It was about consequences. The judge's order was read aloud: immediate snow removal, emergency access, all costs paid by the HOA, and residents free to sue for damages. Marlene tried to adjourn. No one listened. Board members looked gutted. Engines revved outside, plows already moving, clearing the street for good. The lawsuits didn't trickle in, they hit all at once. The evidence was airtight. With insurance about to walk away, the board fractured. Marlene resigned in the dead of night. The case settled fast. Restitution paid, contracts locked in, new bylaws demanding full disclosure and resident approval for any essential service changes. After all the chaos, you'd think I'd feel triumphant. I didn't. I just felt steady, like the ground had finally stopped moving under my feet. The road was a road again. My kids could get to school. Laura could sleep through a snowstorm. I didn't wake up expecting a new fine every morning. But the real difference, people stopped being afraid of asking questions. Silence wasn't power anymore. You could feel it walking down the street, neighbors nodding, kids throwing snowballs, not a worry in the world about whether the plows would come. The snow still falls in Pine Hollow. Winters are still tough. But the fear that is gone. And if I learned anything from all this, it's that the real danger wasn't the snow. It was power without anyone to answer for it. A board that forgot it worked for people not above them. The only thing that beat them wasn't shouting or threats. It was the boring stuff. Documentation, attention, asking questions when it would have been easier to stay quiet. That's what forced the truth out where everyone could see it. So if an HOA ever tells you this isn't our responsibility, do yourself a favor. Don't buy it. Ask for paperwork. Talk to your neighbors. Don't let rules turn into weapons, because silence is only golden for the people who hope you stay quiet. The snow still falls here. Sometimes it piles up so thick the world disappears. But now when I wake up to that silence, I don't panic. I don't grab my phone. I pour my coffee, look out the window, and just wait for the sound of the engines. But tell me, if you'd been in my shoes, would you have gone along, trusted the rules, hoped for the best, or would you have pushed back? Where's the line between order and control, between following and fighting for what's right? Share your story. Have you ever had to stand up to people in power just to make them do what's right? I want to hear it.